So I've laid out some tools so you guys can get a look at some of the tools that you'll be using in class this year. And this group of tools here, these are slicks. And actually, I put out some of the slicks we've had for years. This is actually a boat builder's slick. Came from the coast of Maine. I'm sure there's bigger ones out there, but it's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen for sure. That was used for working on the ribs of the ship, on the bent. I have a couple of different types in here. This is an 1837 slick. It's an L&I J White. This is from Rochester, New York. Another pretty special slick that we picked up down in Pennsylvania years ago. It has the same patina on it as when I picked it up. And I was always fascinated by these forge marks where the socket handle hits the flat part of the blade. And just always imagining a blacksmith pounding that out on an anvil. And how you can't, buy a modern tool with those tool marks from years past. And in a very spiritual kind of way, it's kind of almost like you're shaking hands with the person that built this tool, because you're handling his work. And it's a handsome piece. The edges of this slick are chamfered. So he actually took the time, like a cabinet maker would do, to chamfer the sides and to round these edges up here and give it some appeal. And if we turn it over on the back, we actually can see where the lamination is from the cutting steel that would have come from Sheffield in England. In fact, we were importing tool steel from Sheffield up until 1900. Was the finest steel in the world, and that's how it was known to early edge tool makers. Very sought after. And also, this slick has a very delicate socket, and that is intuitive with a Pennsylvania maker's slick. When you see a long socket like that, there's a very good chance it was made by a Pennsylvania blacksmith. These scabbards I had made by a leather worker years ago, and this particular slick has a cherry handle that we turned for it. This is one of our mallets. Finding a good mallet to timber frame with is a problem for anybody that timber frames. And so several years ago we decided to just make our own mallets, and they're pretty sensational. Actually, this one has a pear wood handle and a brass head, and the weight of it is perfect. You don't want something that's too heavy, but you need something heavy enough. The great part about these is that you actually can swing them. This is a corner chisel. So this is what you'd use in a corner of a mortise. The great part about the mallets is you can swing them pretty hard, or you can cradle them in the palm of your hand and use them just for some subtle work. If you're paring a tenon or trying to get down to some fine details to make something fit properly. So this is a group of corner chisels. You will learn about tool history, timber frame tool history, edge tool history. And we'll give you guys a good lesson on what to look for when you're purchasing tools for yourself. And as I said earlier, you will have an opportunity to purchase tools from a gentleman in New York who actually brings like a van full of timber frame stuff down to me a couple of days before class. So that stuff will be put out for students to look at and entertain the idea of purchasing for themselves. This is a socket chisel. A neat idea that we figured out years ago was a fire hose. So this is just a fire hose that we've used as a scabbard, or a cover if you will, because the edges of these tools are very sharp. This socket chisel is just one of my favorites. It's priceless. It came from the coast of Maine. There's a stamped date right on it, 1834. So this is a piece of timber frame artwork. You can see on the back it's hand forged. So made by a blacksmith for a timber framer, or very possibly a boat builder up in Maine. We've fashioned a new white oak handle for it. So these are the kind of tools that you guys will have the opportunity to use at class this year. These mallets, actually our tool guy brings these down every year. These were actually used in the shoemaking industry. They were used to pound leather through a mold to make heels. And if you go in a shoemaker shop, I was down in the Amish country this year in Indiana, and I actually went in a leather shop there and I saw more of these than I'd ever seen that the leather workers were using. So occasionally we have these come through also. You're going to learn timber framing from us in a better perspective, at a better speed than you can from anybody else anywhere. We're going to teach you how to design, make your own material list. We're going to make it simple for you too. When you leave class, if you want to go build a timber frame woodshed, you guys are going to leave with the opportunity, with the knowledge and the skills, plus you're going to have the support that we offer to get you through your project. We like to teach people to do things for themselves. So you can really be your own architect and you can handle your own design. And you're going to see many examples of that when you take our class. And when we do the class tour, you'll get an idea to size yourself to many of the projects that we've done, so you can see where you might fit in as far as the size of a building.